If you would, please call the roll.
Kathleen Abuzizi.
Here.
Brian Boyle.
Here.
Jason Cipriano.
Here.
Lee Doobie.
Here.
Kim Farah.
Here.
Sheila Lowe's.
Here.
Sarah Mockamer. Sean O'Neill. Caitlin Parnell.
Here.
Kristen Savage.
Present.
Susan Sherman.
Here.
Jennifer Silva.
Here.
James Sweeney.
Here.
Karen Yusenko.
Here.
Also seated this evening with the board is the superintendent of school, Dr. Earl Metzler, the assistant superintendent, Dr. Roxanne Wilson, and CFO Business Administrator Jeff Dowd.
Okay. Dr. Metzler, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
That's right.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Before we get into the delegates and individuals, I just want to inform the board, we had 2 requests for dial-ins tonight. I've been informed that due to technical limitations, we cannot support multiple dial-ins. So we simply don't have the ability in our system to do multiple. Yes, Mr. Doobie.
I have a conference bridge. If we want to use that, they can dial into it.
Have you already told them no?
No, I haven't told them anything because they needed to find out on the technical side.
What's the problem?
We can't do multiple call-ins on the
You can
line.
only do one.
We can only do one on the line that's wired into this room.
So I have a conference bridge, some can afford 250 people on it.
So how does that work, Lee?
They would dial into a number I'd provide, and they'd both be online.
We'd have to contact them and provide the dial-in information and the passcode and so forth.
Why wouldn't they
There's
just
no
put a speakerphone?
passcode, it's just a local number.
Oh, okay.
Jim, why can't you just put it on a speakerphone?
So we have them dial in so the audio goes through so that then the recording it's more easily heard.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we've historically, if we have it, that's why. So my concern yeah, go ahead, Dr. Metzler.
The first request came through me, and I think that, I don't know, the second person, I'm not sure, but they both expected that we would call them. They provided a number and we were gonna call them. So it wasn't them calling in, so I don't know.
I would just call them, say, here's the number, dial in to this number when we hang up.
What's the sentiment from the board?
I'm fine with that. We use that at work all the time.
I don't have an issue.
So what number are they gonna be, like, how are they gonna hear us, how are we gonna hear them? What phone is it gonna be, your personal phone?
I
No, it
think
should
we have a
be,
phone
should
here.
be the system. He'll just dial
Okay,
he'll just dial into the conference page. All right, so it seems like there's, you know, the sentiment of the board is to try to make this happen. So Lee, how quickly are you able to set it?
Right now.
Okay.
It's an open bridge, so
Okay.
whoever wants to
So
write.
what I'm going to do is, as opposed to proceeding to the next agenda item, let's just pause for a second and try to make this work. So Lee, if you want to just get the number and get that. So we'll give them a couple minutes to try to work this out. Okay.
You know what that says, man? So what happens when you're like back ages?
Thank you for that, Lee.
I'll put myself on mute.
Just put until you're gonna talk.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we're back online and recording. So I will entertain a motion to allow Mr. O'Neill and Ms. McNamara to participate in the public portion of our meeting via phone call.
I'll make that motion.
Made by Mr. Yusenka,
I'll second.
seconded by Mr. Doobie. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor?
Who seconded?
Mr. Doobie.
I thought he motioned.
No, Karen.
Thank you.
All those opposed? Oh, that actually was unanimous, sorry. It was unanimous. Okay, so for the 2 folks on the phone, we had a unanimous approval for you to participate. So We are now on the delegates and individuals. Do we have any requests? I'll give Kathy a minute to finish writing. Any-
Oh, I'm so sorry, no. There are
No,
no
no
requests.
requests. Okay, so next we have the approval of October 3rd public and non-public minutes. So before you in your packets, you should have the public and non-public minutes.
And then you have a sealed set here.
Okay.
Move to approve the public minutes of October 3rd.
Okay, motion's been made to approve the public minutes of October 3rd. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Boyle. Excuse me. I'll give folks another minute, just to see if there's any corrections. Yes, Dr. Ferr.
I thought on the motion for vice chair that it was a 12-1-1 vote, and a 12-0-2. I thought Mr. Abruzzi voted against that nomination, not
She
abstained.
abstained.
Okay.
Anything else? Okay, if there's nothing further, this is on a motion to approve the October 3rd public meeting minutes. All those in favor? I hear nothing on the phone, but all those opposed?
I think you have to voice vote with each time that they
Okay,
vote.
yep. So those on the phone, would you please indicate your vote? This is for the approval.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill abstains.
I'm also going to abstain.
Ms. McNamara abstains, so 2 abstentions. Okay, so those are approved. Next up, we have the non-public, so there's 2 sets. There's the non-public session 2, and then there's the first set, which are sealed. So I'd like to distribute the sealed minutes and just remind the members that if there are corrections on these, unless they're corrections that don't identify the subject matter, that we would need to go into non-public to describe the corrections that need to be made. So if there's a typo or something like that, then that's okay.
But we do have a set here that's non-public,
That's correct.
non-sealed.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Chair will entertain a motion to accept the sealed non-public session 1 minutes from October 3rd, 2018.
Make that motion.
Made by Ms. Silva,
I'll second it.
seconded by Mr. Boyle. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those members in favor? Okay. I'll poll the members on the phone. This is for the acceptance of non-public session 1 sealed meeting minutes from October 3rd.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay? Commissioner O'Neill?
You seem like you're running late.
Abstain as well.
Okay.
Sorry?
So we have 2 abstentions. Kathy, you got that?
I got that. Thank
Oh,
you.
actually, let's return these. So those minutes are accepted. Next up, we have the October 3rd meeting minutes from non-public session 2.
I'll make a motion to accept these minutes.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Pick one. I'll recognize Mrs. Yusenka as the second.
We can play them at this.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't recall under it says that the second sentence says the board enters into non-public at 8:56. She felt this action was, I don't recall,
This is
this is non-public.
These are not,
Sealed.
these are
Not
not
sealed.
sealed.
Oh, okay, all right.
They
all
were
right.
not
Oh,
sealed.
no,
Yeah.
Yeah.
my bad.
So I don't recall the word, unless other people in the room do, word criminal.
I do remember that word being thrown
They
around.
could be considered.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay, seeing no further discussion, this is on the motion to approve the non-public session 2 meeting minutes from October 3rd, 2018. All those in favor? It's unanimous among those in the room. I'll poll the members on the phone.
I abstain.
I also abstain.
Okay, 2 abstentions from those on the phone. Yes.
Can I make a motion to seal these minutes? Or is it too late for these minutes to be sealed?
Oh, we
For
can- we
non-public
can seal
session
these.
two?
We can seal these.
I believe that these minutes need to be sealed.
Okay. On what reason?
Under, probably the same reason why we went under non-public in the first one, 91A, colon 3, paragraph 2,
Under reputation?
reputation. Which one is that?
Yeah, so it would be, the reason would be divulgence would likely adversely affect the reputation of someone other than a board member. That's one of the reasons you
Okay.
can cite for,
Yeah.
for sealing units.
Okay, so the motion has been made to seal the non-public session 2 meeting minutes of October 3rd, 2018. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Sherman. Is there any discussion? Chair sees no discussion. We'll need to do a roll call vote. Kathy?
Mrs. Abrazizi?
Yes.
Mr. Boyle?
Yes.
Mr. Cipriano?
Yes.
Mr. Doobie?
No.
Dr. Farah?
No.
Mrs. Lowe's?
No.
Mrs. McAmar, oh, she can't see.
Abstain.
Mrs. Parnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Savage? Yes. Mrs. Sherman?
Yes.
I abstain as well.
Mrs. Silva?
No.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
And Mrs. Yasenka?
Yes.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 yes, and we have 4 no. It requires a 2/3 vote to be sealed.
I think
one
abstained.
They both abstained on the,
Both
Two
abstained.
Yeah,
abstentions.
2 abstentions.
they
right.
both abstained.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor, and 1, 2, 3, 4 against. 2/3 threshold would have been. Somebody?
9.
I think it's 9, but
Must have the majority.
You want 2/3
think
of
you have to have
14?
No, I'm gonna check, see if it says specifically what it says about that.
so it'd be 9.
We'll pause for a second.
What's 2/3 of 14?
9.3.
9.3.
Okay, so it is by recorded vote of 2/3 of the members present taken in the public session.
present.
Abstentions don't count.
So 12, there's 12 of us
Doesn't
here.
matter, the abstentions don't count anyways.
Right,
No. It reads the members present.
They're present.
They're considered present.
They're present.
okay.
Yeah.
But abstentions don't count?
Abstentions don't count.
Either way, you don't get it.
You, I don't know the answer to
Either way, it doesn't happen.
So what's, oh, you still need 9. What's
Two-thirds of
12?
Need 8 out of 12, the abstentions don't count.
8.
That's not how I read the, Mrs. Belcher, could you read that again,
Be
what
happy
what
to.
it says?
For the Timberlane people, you have this in your packet.
Yeah.
On the left-hand side, it's the back side. It says, minutes and decisions reached non-public to the publicly disclosed unless by recorded vote of 2/3 of the members present taken in public session.
Well, technically, they're present or on the phone.
Correct. It doesn't speak to
To abstain,
abstentions.
so it's still 14.
It's still 14.
Right.
Yeah.
Should we get clarification from
Well,
our
just
attorney
Just because it doesn't say it,
on that?
what is it?
Okay.
It's
I don't
a
know.
gray area.
Okay, so I hear what everybody's saying. So, I'll err on the side of caution and rule that the ceiling passed, with the caveat that we'll contact our attorney in the morning, and if in fact we receive information that it didn't, based on new calculations, then we'll make sure that the full board is informed. Okay?
Makes
I think
sense.
that's probably the prudent thing to do until we can get confirmation on that. And worst case, sealed for less than 24 hours until we can speak with our attorney.
So should these be turned back in?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we did too?
Yeah, they're all coming this way because they're close.
Always right on them.
Come out.
Chicken scratch, no one else is gonna be able to read it
Yeah,
anyways.
I know.
Gonna do it right now?
Okay, next we have the proposed SAU budget 2019-2020. So, Mr. Dowd, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Could I interject a point of order here?
Uh-huh.
I would like the Timberlane board to vote to go to weighted voting for any votes moving forward this evening.
So, a couple of notes on regarding weighted voting. Weighted voting, after discussing this with our attorney to make sure that we're following the applicable policy in RSA, weighted voting needs to be called individually on each vote. There's not a blanket weighted voting that just goes on in perpetuity. So it would be called before each vote, and it's based on a majority vote of the full board.
Actually,
No.
Is that in writing, Jason?
I had a conversation with Attorney Will Phillips at New Hampshire School Board Association, and that's not at all what he said.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, but I had a conversation with Mr. O'Shaughnessy, who represents this SAU, to ensure that I was following the proper process, and that's what he informed me.
Well, the RSA is pretty clear. Each school district board member
Each district board member, yeah.
Hold on, I'm going back down to the weighted vote part, because my, what he sent me didn't come through as highlighted.
Read the RSA back.
In all votes regarding school administrative unit affairs, including the organization of such unit school board and selection of officers, each district shall be entitled to one vote for each 16 pupils residing in that district and enrolled in schools under the administrative unit. Goes on, but when it talks about weighted votes shall only be used upon the demand of a majority of the members of any board present and voting in the SAU.
So you've
That's
got 2
that's
boards
correct.
there.
And
So,
per Mr.
any
O'Shaughnessy,
board.
this is the board present, the SAU board, and it requires a majority vote of the SAU board.
Of any board present.
Any board.
Any board
Any
present.
board
That's
Not
not,
just the
RSA says
SAU.
any.
Okay?
So they'd be any, wouldn't they
And
be
we would
part of
be
any?
any.
We would
And
be
we're
any.
part
We
of-
would be any.
and that's not what O'Shaughnessy said to me. Interesting. Okay, we got a little, I talked to Attorney O'Shaughnessy about another matter, and this subject came up. And he pretty much read the RSA, and I said, yeah, it's pretty crystal clear. So obviously the majority board on this SAU is the Timberlane Board, right? So he said, yeah, you're right, Brian, so 5 members of your board, that's all it takes, is 5 of your 9 if they're there. That conversation was 24 hours ago.
And that was the same conversation, that's exactly what Attorney Phillips said when I spoke with him yesterday. And he sent me the email summarizing our conversation.
So I'm confused. So you're thinking that
working on
we
this.
have to do this at a Timberlane meeting before we
You've
come
been
here?
working
No.
on this.
No, that
have
once
every
it's
right to
called, a
contact
vote
and
would be
ask a
called
question
at the
if I
SAU,
Need clarification.
and the
Absolutely.
majority of the vote would have to vote for a weighted vote.
Well, that's not what it says.
No, it says,
That doesn't say that.
weighted vote shall only be used upon the demand of a majority of the members of any board present and voting in the SAU.
Yeah.
There are 2 boards present here that are voting in the SAU. I don't know how you can interpret that as
Pretty clear.
the SAU board gets to vote on this.
Well, I guess I thought that I understood him. I hear what you're saying there, Mr. Boyle, but I thought that I understood him pretty clearly. I can call for a brief recess and see if I can contact him and get clarification.
That'd be great.
I spoke to him too.
Yeah.
Who spoke to him?
I did.
And is your impression the same as Mr. Cipriano received?
Yes, that's what he said to me.
Sue, did you speak to him?
I didn't speak to the attorney this week, so no, I can't participate in it. Obviously, you all have.
No, I haven't spoken to the.
We've talked to Will, we've talked to Jim, we've talked to Jim, we've talked to Jim. Have you talked to Jim?
No.
No, we haven't talked to Jim, so I don't know who we was.
My understanding was that you, as our chair, also asked for legal opinion on this. You did not ask for legal opinion on this.
I did not ask for legal opinion on this. I thought the chair of the SAU was taking care of it.
I don't understand why the chair of the SAU would be asking for a legal opinion on something that it appears only the Hampstead Board has an issue with. If the Hampstead Board wanted a legal opinion on weighted, our board is not, has anybody on our board requested a legal opinion on weighted voting? Or do you have any issues with weighted voting?
I don't think
Timberlake?
it's fair, so I already told you that. I
Right.
don't think it's fair, so.
So I'm not sure why the SAU has gone to seek a legal opinion on something that seems to be a Hampstead
but-
issue.
Yeah,
But
I'm happy to
Vice
answer.
chair has-
I'm happy to.
The policy chair has, the vice chair has,
Hold
the
on,
vice
hold on.
chair
I'm
has.
happy to answer that, because there's, when it was indicated at the previous meeting that may be used, I indicated that I would seek advice. I want to make sure that we're following the RSAs, and I'm shocked that another member would question trying to make sure that we're following the RSAs, especially now as we appear to have a disagreement about it. Like, I reached out to our attorney just to make sure that I understood what the process was. And I'm confused why that would be a problem with it. Don't we want that? Don't we want to make sure we're following the
I agree.
process?
That's why it's pretty clear.
I don't recall a
I'm not really
conversation
sure what
about
this isn't really,
The SAU contacting an attorney.
I said I would look into it.
wow.
So, and that's it. You know, I just want to make sure that we're following the process correctly. So,
So can we,
I don't believe we are.
so can we call the attorney, please?
yeah.
Maybe put him on speakerphone so that we
We're
can,
gonna run out of phones.
well, you know what, though, here's the
Dial into
thing.
the bridge.
I'm with you.
I
I'm being
think we
funny.
should all
I'm being
hear
funny.
exactly what he has to say.
Okay, so, let me see.
Looking to see where the, it's in the, is it in the? Just looking for the minutes.
He did.
I can't remember what I have.
He did indicate,
Said I'm gonna look into it.
yeah.
I wasn't directed.
That's not what she was doing.
Kim didn't direct me to.
No, that's not what she was told.
Like last night, when we had a question for Jeff.
I didn't talk to anybody.
Hi, it's Jim. Sorry I missed your call. Please leave your name and number, and I'll get back.
Do you have a different number? We can check and see, maybe I was.
Ryan have a different number?
I don't have Jim. I called, he's the one that volunteered the information to me, just so you know. I didn't, I called him about a different matter completely. But he made reference to this.
This opinion should have been in writing, and it should never be
by verbal communication, especially something of this magnitude.
Yeah, that's the number that I have.
I know he was negotiating in a different district.
Is he in Lebanon today?
He's in Lebanon.
Lebanon.
Yeah, so he had an all-day, I don't know if he's still at the negotiating table or not, I doubt it. Because I had asked about availability in the event that you people wanted him here, just for all of our meetings, and
So-
the night that he could not be here no matter what.
Now, think about what you're talking about here now, while we're trying to get this. So, your interpretation is it takes the majority of this board,
Yes.
right? Now, think about this. Now, because it's pretty clear the way this thing works is that it's interesting what Sue would talk about, when we talk about fairness. The whole purpose of weighted voting is the ultimate fairness.
What?
So,
Okay, really?
yeah, it goes by number of students. It's black and white. Sure, absolutely. It's the ultimate fairness, because I could never understand how this thing all gets set up. But it's interesting how you're hearing that this board would have the ability, like the way its board set up right now, of overruling a state RSA like that. That makes no sense.
The Electoral College.
I'm sorry? Well, it's kind of like, yeah, that's what, it's kind of like, yeah. But it's, so that what's being presented tonight that makes zero sense.
I just don't understand, because I am not at a Timberlane board meeting right now. I am at an SAU board
Correct.
meeting. I am not a member of a Timberlane board.
Right.
Right now, I happen to be a SAU board member from Hampstead.
Mhm.
We don't separately elect SAU board members from our towns. What we do is we elect school board members from our towns, and then we serve on the SAU board. So when we're here, we are the SAU board. We are not the Timberlane board, and we are not the Hampstead board. We are the SAU board. And I don't understand why that is so difficult to understand for other people, and also why you would think that we would not be able to work together in a manner that would be able to have the greatest
I'm
outcome
going to try them
for
again
all.
while this discussion.
And along those lines, see, the second sentence, which she even read, the school board members present at a school board administrative unit shall be entitled to cast the entire number of votes assigned to the district. So it spells out, there is, because obviously we're not the only SAU in the state that has multiple boards that combine periodically. This
The
is,
thing is, they're all different.
I-
All the SAUs are different.
Yeah.
So it's not one clear, it's not, everything's not set up like Timberlane and Hampstead.
I agree, but there are several places.
This RSA is here for a reason.
That's what, yeah,
That's
right.
that's what you're getting at. The
Correct.
RSA is there for a reason, so that every student within the SAU is fairly represented. So if I don't show up to a meeting, then the number of students or votes I get don't go away. They get divided up amongst the people that are here. So
Yeah.
they're still equally
So
represented.
if there was two people from Hampstead not here, the other three would have all the Hampstead votes.
Correct.
That's right.
Those votes don't disappear.
In theory, then you'd only need one from Timberlane and one from Hampstead to come to an SAU meeting, because we'd control all the votes.
Except you need a quorum.
You need a quorum. So then the votes just get leveled out.
So no matter how, as long as you have a quorum, no matter how many people you have, every vote still counts.
So this weighted, if I could, Mr. Chairman, so this weighted discussion has occurred before, and never has this board had to be us and them. I don't know why we wouldn't continue to work collaboratively. It's already a 77 to 23 split,
Not in terms of the voting,
Not in the
it's
voting.
certainly
No, it's not even close.
money-wise, pardon me.
Calling in wasn't.
Money-wise. This is the business end of school. We're not talking students here, we're talking the business end of running both school districts, what's best business-wise. So, that's why I don't think we need a weighted vote, I think we can work collaboratively together.
That's the purpose of the weighted vote.
So you're correct, it's the business side, and we are paying 77%.
Right, so we already are paying more.
Yeah, we are paying more, but we do not have that proportion of the votes. The weighted voting gives us that proportion of the votes, which is fair to us, because we're paying the majority of this bill.
Correct.
So, but to Kristen's point, in terms of having a quorum, if 6 people didn't like what was going on, they got up and walked out, you wouldn't have a quorum, and we couldn't have a meeting. That's what happens when collegiality erodes away like this. I understand the fairness piece, I understand the electoral voting, I understand representation. My only thing is I'd like you to think about collegiality, because if 6 people get up and walk out right now, there's no meeting. And that's what worries me.
I understand that, and I would have loved to have thought about collegiality in the last year and a half that I've been on the board, too.
I understand your position. We're just trying to move forward, that's all.
And I think our board is, I'm trying to move forward too in a way that I feel is best for the Timberline district.
When I say we, I'm saying we. I know you're saying we, you're saying Timberline, I'm saying we, I'm saying SAU.
I understand we're trying to move forward, and I knew this issue was gonna come up, and because I wanted to feel confident in my vote and what I was going to do, I did call New Hampshire School Board Association, and I asked them to look at our policy on that, and I asked them to read that and tell me, what does that mean? How does that work? Because I wanted to feel that I was doing the right thing, and that was the feedback that he gave me when I talked to him on the phone. He emailed the RSA, he highlighted those specific points.
No disrespect intended, but the person you spoke to, when he doesn't know what he's doing, he calls our attorney. Ask him. That's who he calls.
He actually consulted with another attorney up there before he gave me that decision.
I know that to be a fact. I know him. I know Barrett. I know them all. I know who they call. So, I'm not.
And he must have called them in a week to get back to me, so I'm sure whoever he consulted,
I don't know who called who. I know how the calculations work. This particular debate, I don't think has ever been challenged. I'm not sure in court. I don't know if there's any, like, in terms of who gets to vote on whether they put it in place or not. I don't know if it's been challenged or not. That I don't know. I do know the calculation pretty well, because I'm like a numbers person. I do know that the Hampstead votes, I do know that the Pinkerton kids do count. I know that to be a fact.
they do not.
No, they do not.
No, they do
Because you
not.
don't
They
control,
do
no.
not count.
We don't,
No, they
this
do
group
not.
has nothing to do with Pinkerton.
Those students do not
Yes, they
attend
do. Absolutely.
the
Hampstead
school
residents.
in this SAU.
Can I explain this
hold on.
for you?
Absolutely.
With the Pinkerton kids, how this works on the Hampstead School Board is we pay Pinkerton, however, the SAU does all of the work, so they go over there for meetings, they do the liaison, they coordinate, I'm sorry? Transportation. It's.
So how does that work out in your?
Our students, but we're not at a Hampstead School Board meeting. I wanted to clarify.
No, I'm
though,
just
that
curious.
The SAU does
All right.
provide support for our Pinkerton students.
We should adjourn the meeting.
This is really mind-boggling to me.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Have we lost that much decorum that you can't see that, even though, yes, we live within the borders of a town named Hampstead, that we have friends and we have family that live in your towns, and we have people
I don't
that we
get
deal
what-
with on
We're
a
not
regular
trying to
basis.
insult you,
this.
we're trying to follow
And
RSA.
we are neighbors, and we're
Law.
trying to work together. Like, do
Okay.
you not see this?
Right,
I wanna
all right.
I just need to ask a question.
Both.
I understand the SAU does stuff for Pinkerton, but is those numbers included in your ADM, ERM, whatever it is that we're going by, the 879 that we have that number for?
Their number is like.
No, just, so this is just K through 8 that is in that portion that,
That's the.
Correct?
No, the Hampstead numbers are K to 12. I'm responsible for the Hampstead kids that.
so that's the 879 includes K from 12.
No, it's
No.
another 400, no, your question, it's another 420-something kids. I think.
Okay, but they're only putting in for the district from K to 8, correct? Or pre-K to 8?
Except the Hampstead students at Pinkerton.
But, no, but,
Well, the RSA states residing in that district and enrolled in schools under the administrative unit. Are the 9th grade students in Hampstead enrolled in an SAU 55 school?
Yes.
Pinkerton is part of SAU 55.
Pinkerton is our.
Pinkerton
High
is
school.
our
but it's
designated,
not
That's
an
not the
SAU
question.
school.
it is our
That's-
designated sending school.
That's SAU 202.
That's SAU.
No, it's not, they're,
It's not-
they're a
it's not
private, they're,
Dairy. They're
not
quasi-
a
they're
dairy
quasi-
school.
they're not a
Have an
dairy
SAU,
school.
they're a
They
private school.
don't, they're a private school.
Are they in
Quasi-public-private.
school in SAU 55, your high school students?
Our students are being educated and provided an education by the Hampstead School Board, which is a member of SAU 55. There are support services that are handled through SAU 55.
But they do not go to a high school
But
that is
they
an
were their own
SAU
SAU.
school.
That is the high school that they go to, though. That is, and it is paid for by the Hampstead taxpayers.
That's not what the RSA says.
I'm trying to clarify why I believe that they should be counted in that number, because that is the school they go to.
I understand why you believe it should be, but that's not what the RSA says.
They reside in Hampstead, they are paid for
And
through our
enrolled in
taxes.
schools under the administrative unit.
But
your
those
interpretation.
Hampstead students are under the SAU55 administrative unit.
They're not
When-
enrolled
all
in
right.
schools.
This is
Hold
ridiculous.
on. Just
No.
relax.
You know what, I have,
Hold on,
this is a
Kathleen.
volunteer position.
Hold on.
I have a
Please.
family at home. This is absolutely
Please.
ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. You are supposed to be adults. If you were in a classroom right now, in high school, the teacher would probably have called in the principal, because this is just so incredibly childish.
All right, hold on. Wait a second.
They can sit
Just
and play their
wait
games
a second. Wait a second.
Point of order.
Please. Please. All right. I am going to go based on the information that I have. Kathleen, if you would just please give me a chance, okay? Based on that information, call for a vote of the SAU board to go to use a weighted voting. I need a motion. Actually, was there a motion to do weighted voting? I don't think there was.
Yes, there was.
Oh, okay, Dr. Farrar.
Make it as a motion, she's made it as a point of order before we went on.
That's not how you do it.
But the motion is for our board
Correct.
to take
That's-
that vote,
that's-
not for the SAU. It's not an SAU board vote.
I'm looking
It's
for a
clear.
motion for the SAU to go to weighted voting.
It's incorrect. It's not the law.
Incorrect.
Seeing no motion, we'll move on. The next agenda item is the proposed 2019-2020 budget. Mr. Dowd,
I'll make that motion, Jason. This is
Okay.
ridiculous. I'm
Okay.
making that motion.
Mr. O'Neill has made the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor? This is in favor of going to a weighted vote.
I vote yay.
And Mr. O'Neill votes yea.
7,
All those opposed?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
So that motion fails for lack of a majority. Our next agenda item is the 2019-2020 proposed budget.
Could I
Mr.
just, for
Dowd.
the record, can you tell me who voted in favor, just really quickly? Thank you. Can you do the?
No, not you.
You voted against.
Yeah, just so I can figure out this.
Mr. O'Neill.
My brain's already.
Almost gone into a vote.
Mr. Dowd, if you would.
I'm sorry, can I interject another point of order?
Yes?
I'd like to make a motion to remove Mr. Cipriano as chair.
Sorry, that motion is out of order.
Why
Chair
is
does
that,
not
Mr.
recognize.
Cipriano?
I second that motion.
That motion is out of order. I appreciate your opinion, but the motion is out of order. First and foremost,
I
there
make
is,
the motion to overrule the chair and do a roll call vote.
I'm sorry, that motion is out of order. We're moving on to the proposed budget.
Jason, this isn't a dictatorship, Jason.
Look what's happened to
Not a
any
dictatorship.
collegiality.
You are, have to
Can't
comply
even
with the
work on a
wishes of the
budget
board.
together.
I do not, in this case, Mr. O'Neill,
Sean, let,
under the,
Robert rules of order, look at them up.
yes, I have, and there is no motion to remove the chair. Secondly, our policy spells out when the chair is elected during the reorganizational meeting. And you do not get to make a motion in the middle of a non-agenda item to circumvent our board policy, which spells out when the chair is selected.
Policies can be overridden by a majority of the board.
You are correct, and if we want to form a policy committee and refer policies,
I make a motion to set aside the policy for appointing the chair.
that's out of order. You cannot set aside a policy on a non-agenda item. We're moving on to the proposed budget. Mr. Dowd, if you would begin.
It's a dictatorship again.
Mr. Dowd, if you would please proceed.
Mr. Chairman.
I would encourage everybody to get on up and leave that room right now.
Sean, several members of the Timberlane board are leaving.
You obviously had this planned because you've been talking to each other.
So you asked for a vote,
Instead of
we
working
got a
together.
vote, you didn't win, and you're gonna leave.
No, we also tried to replace the chair, and he's not recognized.
No, that's not, that's why you tried to replace the chair. You asked for a vote, you got a vote, you didn't win, so you're leaving.
Yep.
That's exactly what it is.
I'm
No.
leaving because the RSA wasn't followed, and I don't
Exactly.
think what was
It's a
done
state
was
law.
legal.
It's a state law.
God, I hope the withdrawal goes through.
Get 7.
Nope.
One doesn't like that.
Nope, she's gotta go too.
How many do we?
The
This was
attorney
all
is
planned, they
leaving.
had to have planned it, not with me and Sarah
Since
involved.
we're gonna keep going, I'm gonna stay for 1 second, because your member left first, and your member
She's
talked.
still here,
She's
she's
still here.
right there.
Oh, there you are,
She's
thank
still
you.
here.
But I will simply say, you're the one that sat over there and talked about not being collegiate and not working together. And I came to my first meeting last week, and I sat in here, and I got the nastiest attitude and the most unwelcoming. I've never felt less welcome in a room than I did when I walked in here last time. Only to go home and then find Facebook posts that talked about how we have agendas and we have this and we have that. And then to sit there and say we're being childish when you're running on and posting on Facebook. I'm sorry, there are laws, there are things, and to just keep saying, no, 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 you can't do something and not listen to people, I do hope you get a written legal opinion on weighted voting. I have family at home too. You're not the only one.
Do we still have a member on the phone?
Mr. O'Neill?
Nope.
Disconnect that one, please.
Yes, I'm still here. Who is there present at that board table right now?
Mrs. Sherman, Ms. McNamara, Mr. Sweeney, Ms. Abrazizi, Ms. Yasenka, Mr. Cipriano, and Mrs. Parnell.
Okay, I am actually leaving this meeting right now. So you have no quorum left on this board, and anything that you do is null and void. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. O'Neill.
And the meeting-
Having no quorum, the chair will adjourn the meeting.